My family, hi, welcome to another on your Total of the Church with your brother Joseph. So when I was on social media, just, looking for some things that we can discuss today, I came across this video where Prophet Angel released a prophecy, and it was actually tagged a fulfillment where there are things which are being uncovered in the United States of America.
Then I saw Capitol buildings, Capitol Hill or Capitol something, because it was written Capitol, but I can see the building, and the angel was over that place between that and the White House, whipping over the Capitol Hill. And the angel said, the Lord is saying, these are the people that devise mischief for my people. So you're going to see embarrassments, exposures. In the highest corridors of power in America, you see exposures.
So post 2021, so this is last year, 2024, we spent $697 million of the taxpayers' dollars in Afghanistan, including $534,719,000 in change from USAID in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is ruled by folks named Sarayuddin Haqqani. The Haqqani network mean anything to anybody in the room? How about Abdullah bin Laden, who gets some of that money? Does that name ring a bell to anybody in the room? Your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding.
$1.5 million for DEI in Serbia, $47,000 for transgender operas in Colombia, $2 million. The former ambassador to Guatemala talked to me about this, $2 million for transgender surgeries in conservative country like Guatemala. It's a long list. I mean, USAID funded scholarships for people who became terrorists like Anwar al-Awlaki. We've sent, under the guise of USAID, we sent money to UNRWA, which returned funds directly to Hamas. In blatant violation of U.S. law, the Helms Amendment, PEPFAR has funded abortions and killed babies. What is happening in Africa is just the tip of the pro-abortion iceberg that the Biden administration weaponized aid agencies into. It also happens to be against the law that Congress has passed. So USAID funded independent media, so-called, in Hungary, but it was actually trying to run a color revolution playbook to overturn the government, very popular government of Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who's a NATO ally. So let's be clear, this color cultural revolution playbook hasn't just been weaponized against allies in foreign countries. It's been brought home and weaponized against our own citizens right here. If you had unapproved opinions of COVID vaccines or origins of COVID or maybe the Hunter Biden laptop story, there's almost certainly a puppet NGO working overtime on taxpayer dollars, which contradicts the word NGO in the first place, to shut down or deplatform speech in America. That's a clear violation of the First Amendment. So, look, our staff has heard every day from terrible stories about the abuse of our government in conflict with our own national interest in places like Uganda, where if they don't embrace aborting babies, they will be retaliated against and have aid taken away from them.
I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than 8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now.
So this was a very, very accurate prophecy. Truly God is speaking. And it had to do with some of these things that are actually being uncovered, to do with USAID and all those things. And Pastor Chris actually broke his silence concerning some of these things, where he talked about a whole lot of things that are happening in the world. The, Russia-Ukraine issue, the United States of America, the USAID issue, the terrorism activities in Nigeria and other countries which are actually being funded by the former administration in the United States of America. So let's just get into it. You tell me what you think in the comments below. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. God bless you.
Use a few seconds to call your friends, your relatives, call those you know, those in your contacts, and tell them it's time.
For just $6, unpack the ultimate Christian streaming experience. Dive into life-changing sermons, gripping and heartwarming shows, epic, soul-stirring movies, and spirit-lifting music. Stay informed with up-to-the-minute news and explore powerful, thought-provoking documentaries and docuseries. Ignite young minds with dynamic and engaging youth and kids programs. Alpha TV has everything you need and more.
And for the African audience, Nigeria and the other African community, it is actually 4,000 naira or equivalent. Let's just say $2.50. So kindly check it out. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment.
Subscribe now to get started.
I look at some of the things happening around the world today, and it's a pity that a lot of people are confused about what's right or what's wrong, and then they're making their conclusions on the basis of the mendacious media around the world. How do you listen to those guys and believe you got information? You would make decisions or make your conclusions on the basis of the deception that was created in your head while you were growing up. Because most of those in the Western world and those influenced by the Western world were taught to believe that Russia was evil. And in Christianity, it was the same thing. Christian leaders from the Western world, I mean, if you were a Christian minister, an evangelist or so, and you were from the United States or you were from Europe, you carried this mentality that Russia was basically evil because of the persecution. See, there was persecution of Christians. There are many stories coming out of there. But it's amazing that in which Ukraine is dragged into a deal with the real earth minerals, rare earth minerals, thank you. The reason for that is not because the United States is trying to cheat them. Those guys are intelligent. It's a deal. If we're going to keep protecting you, we must get something for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what it's about.
Yes, sir.
They're not trying to rip Ukraine off. No, it's a deal. We must get something for protecting you. You're a sovereign country. If we're going to fight for you, what do we get? We've given you so much for nothing. We can't keep doing it. So let's discuss as sovereign nations. So we come into a pact. And with this pact, Russia accept our negotiation because now we have a stronger negotiating power because we have a stake. Right now, we don't have a stake. We've given you everything, billions and billions of dollars for nothing. And then we go and negotiate with Putin in your behalf for nothing. We have nothing. So if we come into this pact, then we have a strong voice. That's what Trump is saying. And Zelensky has thought about it. And that's the reason he wants to go sign it. Because there was no better deal. That's why Trump was very sure that Zelensky will come around, because there's no better deal. He gets something for it. Ukraine gets something. We get something. No one is cheated. So you have to understand the details before you go blah, 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 blah. No, just relax. Get the information first. Get the information first. When the war started, Russia called it an operation. It was a special military operation of some kind. And truly, it was strategic. In the first 1 week, they had actually done it. And Ukraine was ready to negotiate. In the first 1 week, it was done. Zelensky bowed and said, I'm ready to negotiate. So it was a 1 week operation. It was done. But then Biden and Bojo came together and they said, no way. France, Germany. They said, no way. They convinced Zelensky. They said, no, no, no. Don't negotiate. We're going to help you. Go fight. We'll be behind you. Because they were the cause of the war in the first place.
Yes, sir.
They were the cause of the provocation,
sir,
in the first place. And I told you. And I didn't need Russian support for what I do.
Yes, sir.
I preach the gospel. I didn't need Russian support to tell you the truth. I just told you as it was.
Yes.
So it's not like I needed elections. You know, they were going to help me get elected. I just told you the truth. So, not that he miscalculated. He didn't miscalculate. It was not a miscalculation, even though on a bigger scale, he didn't expect the foolishness of the other side. Because I call it foolishness. Now they've lost so much. So much. There's almost nothing left in Ukraine. What is this? So much foolishness. But you know, that's like the devil. He lures men into destruction. They lose so much. It destroys their lives. They lose so much. Because they don't have wisdom, the wisdom of God. See? So, that's why I say to you, in these things, don't listen to just the newspapers. Recently, we found out that USAID was used for nefarious activities in Africa and many parts of the world. They were the real sponsors of terrorism around the world. USAID, and we've got many people employed by them, including many of you Christians, because you work for some NGO. They tell you it's an NGO from the United States. They're paying you to destroy your country. It's time to stop. Why profiting from organizations that are destroying your country? At least now you know, if you didn't know before. USAID was not an organization for helping people. It was for destroying people. And they were paying journalists around the world for propaganda. They used them to tell lies and to maintain their lies. And you ought to say, no, no more. The so-called researches they were carrying out in many countries, no research at all.
Yes, sir.
These are hideouts for wicked and evil atrocities to destroy these nations. And who's the mastermind behind USAID? Bill Gates. Maybe you didn't know. He's the main brain behind USAID. So if you were working for any of those organizations, don't be deceived by the dollars they're paying you, because what they're taking away from you and from your future is far more than what they're giving you. Think about it. They pay you some money and they destroy your children. And you accept that is okay? You accept that is okay? You think that is all right? It's time for you to say no and resign. Have the guts to resign. And that's why the new government in the US is refusing to continue to fund them, because they knew that they were being used for bad things. So, African and Asian countries that constantly call for, they say, aid. And then these guys even say, we're not going to give you any more AIDS. What AIDS, by the way? Maybe they mean AIDS that made people sick?
Yes,
Maybe that's what they're talking about. But if they meant financial aid, it's only stolen money.
yes, sir.
It's what they stole from you already. They don't bring any money from the US. They don't give you any money from the United States. It's what they stole from you already. If you drove away USAID from your country, you'll be suddenly richer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's all exploitation. They destroyed your currency. They destroyed your economy. See, they creep into the politics of the day and try to destroy the politicians. That's what they do. They don't care about you. They hate politicians that love their country. Once you love your country, you are an enemy. They brand you as an enemy. And they plan your demise. That's what they do. So the right thing to do is tell them to quit. Tell them to quit. It's time to tell them to quit. Told you today we're praying